You know what it is, though? It's not wasting energy on getting things right or your reputation. I think that's really what I was getting to, is that there's a reputation that you cared about, and now you don't care as much about it. It's no longer about that for you. It's more about how you decide to change. It's more about who you are when you're around certain people. What you notice gets brought out of you when you're with someone who has similar values. You think about how maybe this attention may have once fulfilled you in a way that was important, and now you may not have that. Again, this deeper insight about what filling these cups means to you, what you put into those cups, what's being poured along with it. Again, family may be on your mind, but there's also this sense of risk. Road signs in the dark. It feels very risky. It feels very new. It feels different, perhaps. You know how far you've come, you know what you bring, and you want to be sure that another road sign in the dark, you want to trust your intuition even more. Well, this is the biggest or most important moment for that, to an extent. It's a moment where you feel maybe blinded by the sun and the stars, hence the light of the Fool's background. That you're wondering, well, can it always be sunny? Well, no, because as much as you care for this situation or this person or this job, this meaningful moment, you also realize that in order for things to develop, in order for it to continue, it's the risk and commitment that needs to be taken. Strong, heavy on the Leo energy too. It's the strong sense of you want to be sure, but of course you want passion. You want security, and you're realizing that security is like, well, you starting to care about what this person actually thinks of you. It's a big one for you guys. What does this person actually think of me? For those of you who do care, and don't get us wrong, Capricorns can be very much people pleasers. So you do care. But you find that this Venus in Libra helps you realize that this person, you care more about their opinion than maybe anyone else's anymore. This has become where you've put a lot of your energy and your time, your focus. And now you're wondering, will it make it? Will it make it to the next evolution of it? Will it still be fun? Capricorns, You're not adverse to risk. You're not adverse to commitment. It's not it. You just like to be sure. You want to know that this person is pretty rock solid as much as you can know, because if things turn out different, situation turns out, it changes, you can accept that, of course, if it comes from an honest place, but not from one that was never like that from the beginning. And how would one know that anyway? Well, you just feel it. You feel attachment. There is an attachment too here to the way things are right now, and not wanting maybe things to change the classic story of the beginning of relationships, or even a passion, or even a new business, new venture. It exposes you. You're exposing yourself. You're being courageous. But with courage, can you bring pride? No, that's where it evolves from. You know, you may find yourself caught there because you're more attached to that part. But that's just a lack of vulnerability, and I would say that's misfortune and missed opportunity. But for you, it's more of a controlled sense of structure. While you create the future, you don't like to be blind to it all, of course. But when Mercury goes into retrograde, you have time to hash this out. By the 13th, it will go. Venus will have also moved into Scorpio by then. If there are people that you find interesting and fun, or people that you've been wanting, or there's someone or energies that you've been wanting to experience, they may be drawn to you during this time too. Which makes you question, okay, are you ready for the next step? Are you ready? And you find this attachment come back up. From 9 to 9. The emotional and financial are always tied. And you feel very secure right now. You like that feeling. But nothing has to really change, except for maybe this idea of what having it all looks like. Maybe it's not as clear. Maybe you feel clear-headed and you don't want to give that up. There's something in a sense of you don't want to give something up. Fixed energy. Cardinal. There are some things that you seem, parts of you, the independent thinking, the independent living even, that you will grieve. You will notice that, wow, I've really thought about this to this extent, and this isn't, now I need to let go of knowing that this is what really happens next. And even if it feels hard or you feel insecure saying these things, it could be important to bring up that vulnerability that you feel, maybe with yourself or a trusted person. Because in this time, you will feel anything but alone, but you may find yourself alone thinking. But getting it out in the open is really important as well. Because what happens if you don't is that it becomes very obvious what then begins to take up space, and what is said like property, almost unpaid rent in your mind. And how to move through that is by being vulnerable and letting the parts of you go that were once. And it sounds so cliche, like going into a relationship, going to a new part, you have to like become new. You could say the same, but most likely you won't, because you're doing something new. So ask and present in different ways where you need to change, where things need to transform, where your life is definitely changing, right? Because you're doing it and you're putting yourself forward. And you can feel this change within you. And as you begin to connect with a different way of thinking and considering someone else and considering your life looking differently, right? Because even if you're in a business partnership, you still have to think of someone else for a lot of things. You have to be aware of another person's insecurities and that they have their own set of ideals. They have their own set of the way things are or are not that come up. And you know that's what commitment is, but there's a challenge there, of course. You have a keen intuition and you are amazing at whatever you put your mind and energy towards and to. So putting it towards this part of you that is willing to open up and to talk about some things that you may be afraid of can bring you so much more, such a big benefit. Sorry, I just couldn't get that out. In a way where the sense of being united with someone feels like abundance to you or feels like the right next step, but not without sharing what you're scared of, what you're so afraid of. Being able to be honest and open with even yourself first about that is important, and then maybe bringing it to the table, someone else's table, maybe the person that really needs to hear it the most. And yes, you can fear that they'll walk away or it won't work, but most importantly, it's more about you being unafraid to share something so real for you, even though you're in a maybe solid and exciting place. That there's this, through this, just brings up so much more untapped potential and may draw what you now find more validating, money, opportunities, ideas, whatever you need help with the next step in your line of ideas to do comes to light, comes to fruition by facing the insecurity straight ahead, whatever the Gemini new moon or full moon has brought out. I'm seeing lots of circles, so full circle moments here as well. That whatever and whomever you're speaking to may be someone from your past or someone who represented a part of you at a different time. That passing down these little tidbits of information in a way that's different from what you're used to experiencing becomes so much more than just maybe one time. You start to do this more often. You want to speak to this particular part of life and this particular group of people. And there's a lot to be gained from that. All right, Capricorn. We'll see you in your season. So much abundance and fortunate times are coming for you. May I clarify? I love you. See you next month.